Hey guys, what's up? I'm your local lunatic here, bringing you guys my very first duel replay video against John Wick 27, who actually I've been trying to fight all day in order to get a good duel video out for you guys. So basically what I've done is I found that actual live commentary on duel footage is sort of hard, not necessarily for me to record, but for me to just like sit there and commentate live is it's a lot harder when I'm trying to do it live when I'm otherwise able to just, have the replay and then go by, piece by piece and pause where I want to and whatnot. Um, but anyway, so I'm using heroes, he's using monarchs, so we've actually been trying to set up this duel all day. One time I had to leave him on an errand, another time he had to quit because he wanted to switch decks, and I believe this is our third duel, it might be our fourth. And But yeah, I think it is our fourth because one time he had a random disconnect in the middle of round one because I think he said he was in school at some point. But anyway, um, and I think he still was in this duel as well, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so yeah, uh, I'm gonna do this for every deck profile I put out, where I'll put out the deck profile and then I'll put out the replay, or maybe every once in a while I'll do a live duel if it's like sort of simple. For an example, my next one I'll probably do live commentary because the deck itself is, I mean, it doesn't take like long turns, or like the combos themselves don't like go on forever, like something like, obviously, like not like Salmon Great, but even like Heroes can take a little bit of time compared to the deck I'm gonna profile next. So anyway, but we'll see. So anyway, starting off here, um, we're going to use the new replay feature where we can show both players' hands. And, alright, so I open an Ash Blossom, an Honest Neos, a Hero Lives, Polly, and Raigeki. Alright, so first off, my impressions of this hand is actually kind of crappy. I mean, it looks like I have everything I need here, right? I have my Neos to boost anything that might need boosting. I have my Ash Blossom from the gate. I got the Heroes to fetch the Shadow Mist, the Polly, just for whatever. I mean, I guess it's kind of a dead draw. Well, not really a draw, but just a dead card because I don't have the Bubble Man. And the Raigeki, he has a Dogman, a Vanity's Fiend. There can be only one, and Eidos, the Underworld Squire, as well as Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. So, I actually go for something that's a little different than what I was going to originally do. So originally I was just going to open off and use a Hero Lives, but I think I actually decide to do something different. And see, I say sorry about all this setup because I I initially started doing all this, like trying to get a dual gameplay thing for the channel at like 8 in the morning, and now it's almost 8 in the afternoon. It's like a little under 7 o'clock. So, yeah, I mean, we really were trying to go at this for basically all day. So, for his first move, he's just going to set a card, and I believe he just passes, which I guess, I mean, yeah, I, I guess, or does he actually continue? I think he continues this on, right? Let me see. Yeah, so he is going to summon Eidos and then use the effect to get the extra normal summon, and he tributes it off for the, whoa, hold up, hold up. So, a lot of things just happened. So, but basically, he went ahead and used the additional normal summon off Eidos to use Vanity's Fiend for a second normal summon, which shuts off my extra deck. Well, I mean, it does shut off my extra deck, because I can't special summon any monsters from it, but I can't special summon any monsters in general, which actually is a very hard counter to heroes. But I just so happen to open the Raigeki. So what I do is I draw into what is it, the Bubble Man? I think I do anyway. No, I draw into the Stratos, and then I fetch the Bubble Man with Stratos, because I have Volley in hand. And then I use the Raigeki to get rid of the Vanity's Fiend, just because I don't really want that being on the board at all. And I just swing in for 1.8, and that's just sort of me getting some early game damage on the board, and it just feels nice. Outside of that, I pass turn, and he's going to draw into Monarch's Erupt. He reveals Dogman, and I target his Monarch's Erupt, which sucks for him. He, of course, pitches that and specials Dogman in attack mode, and then he draws a card off of Dogman's own effect, because it's danger, obviously, and then he has Erebus and Pantheism. I don't actually think... he can't use it. He literally can't, because he doesn't have a legal target to send from his hand. So he just goes straight to the battle phase and swings in against Stratos, in which case I use, my Honest Neos in response, I guess I should say, to make it 4,300. I'm pretty sure I was accurate on that. Let me actually just go ahead and bring up a calculator here, because I'm actually retarded and can't do any math, but, 1 second. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna say it's 43. I mean, who cares? I don't think it would have mattered. Let's see, because 25, and if that was 20, it'd be 45, take away 200, yeah, 4,300. Against the 20, so it's 43 against 24, so he goes down by 1,900 additional points. So yeah, alright, and then of course the Dogman dies. He actually, doesn't really, I'm not sure if he just doesn't, no, I think he just forgets, honestly. And then he passes turn from there, because what else is he gonna do? This is a pretty feel-bad moment, because he has nothing. He has There Can Be Only One set, which is actually pretty good, because that's literally what's keeping him alive right now. And he has basically 2 dead cards in his hand. Now, all he needs is a Monarch Spell Trap to really start his plays, but, I just really don't understand why he does this play at first. Now, I do think that later on it starts to make sense to me, but hold up, I'll just go ahead and show you what happens now. So I draw into Emergency Call. So I'm just top decking gas after gas after gas. I mean, call me a station, because man, I'm just filled with it. Anyway, so I use Emergency Call to fetch. What do I think I get like what is it? Solid Soldier. I always say Solid Ogre, because I love Goki so much. But anyway, and no, it's not the deck I was mentioning. Before, I was foreshadowing about. So hold up. So no, that's not Goki. Isn't the deck I was foreshadowing or like hinting towards earlier on in the video. So in response to me resolving Emergency Call, he flips There Can Be Only One, which at first is at first it strikes me as a little odd, because he should have waited until I actually summoned. Because what I would have done personally is I would have waited until he summoned the Solid Soldier, special summoned the whatever monster he was going to use. I guess in this case it would have been Bubble Man, and then I would have flipped it. That way he got rid of, or in this case I would have gotten rid of 2 of his cards. It doesn't actually turn out making that much of a difference, but it actually is basically just as effective, because I can't go into my Ab-Zero, because even if you already have a monster of the same type on the board, I can't go into Ab-Zero, because even if I use Poly to attempt to fuse Bubble Man and Stratos, I can't because I I don't really know exactly how to explain it, but even though you're trying to fuse them away, they're still on the board. I mean, Stratos is still on the board until the summon of Ab-Zero, I believe is how I would explain it, if that makes sense. I don't know, I was never really good with the whole ruling side of Yu-Gi-Oh, but anyway, um, yeah, so that's a pretty good move. Then I just swing in for another 18, and he draws into Called by the Grave. Yikes. He just passes. So at this point, I just draw into a Shadow Mist, which is nice, but I can't do anything with it because there's an only one out on the board. So at this point, I just decide that I want to make Nightmare Phoenix because this duel is about over. So I normal Ash because I know that at this rate, he probably won't have anything for me to negate with it, and even if he does, there's just no point because look at my life points, I haven't been touched, and look at how close he is to defeat. So at this point, I just link off into Nightmare Phoenix. Use Nightmare Phoenix's effect to pitch Shadow Mist's cost, popping There Can Be Only One. And so what happens then is I use Shadow Mist to retrieve another Honest Neos, and of course, There Can Be Only One is gone. He's a little confused about this at first, but I eventually explain it to him. Then I swing in for 1.9, and he goes on to 600. And so he tries to Call by the Grave my Mist, and yeah, okay, so as you can see, he was still in class, but anyway, so he tries to Call by the Grave my Shadow Mist, which foolishly I actually think works, just because so many people have actually, like, just because there's so many times, I don't really know why, like, I don't know why I just thought it would work, because I think deep down I knew you would have to have said it first, and I realized that after the fact, and I'm like, whoa, wait, you can't, and then he's like, oh wait, you're right, because I got set it first, so then, about 5 seconds after I realized the mistake, and I reset that all back, so he takes the 1900, and then he goes on the 600. I pass turn, just because what else would there be to do, honestly? He draws into Monarch Stormforth, which is a godsend for him, because I can finally play the game, on, the final turn. It would make an actual difference. I don't know, it's just, at this point, I just don't really see why he doesn't just concede. But at the same time, I do kind of applaud him for not trying to I don't think it's a good thing to never give up no matter what, like the anime would have you believe. Because I do believe at some point, I do believe there's a line where it just becomes ignorance, where oh well, I just refuse to believe I'm defeated until my life points at 0, which fair enough, legally that's fine, but I mean, it's just like you should typically when you're losing in Yu-Gi-Oh, and just like when when you're losing, like you're in a losing position, when you lose the game. So for an example, if I have 5,000 life points left, and I have a completely empty board, except for, we'll say I have one dead face down, and 2 in hand that have absolutely nothing to do with anything to interact with anything on the board. And my opponent has a Masterpiece and a Ignis Heat, right? He doesn't technically kill me on my next turn, but it's fairly obvious I'm going to lose the duel, so it would be pretty stupid for me not to just concede right away and save us both the extra bit of time, That way we can move on to our next game, or even next match, maybe. But anyway, so here he is, just pitching the Monarch Stormforth. for some reason, he actually goes through the trouble of getting all 3 copies of Tenacity rather than just saying, hey, I'm going to have all 3 Tenacities, so it doesn't really matter. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. And that would have been fine, but he just says whatever. But I mean, like, he just says whatever. I just felt like doing whatever. And I'm like, alright, fine. So he uses Tenacity, revealing Erebus. He got a second Call by the Grave and a breakthrough skill off of the draws from Pantheism, by the way. So originally he just said Scoop, and I'm like, okay, well that's good because I was about no, he does Scoop. All right. So yeah, so that's game 1. Game 2, we're going in, and yeah, so he chooses to go first, non-surprisingly. So I open Called by the Grave, 2 Mask Change, a Mask Charge, and a Bubble Man. He opens Adia, Eidos, Mithra, Domain, and Breakthrough Skill. So his hand is looking much better than mine right now. I actually thought he was saying GG as just sort of like, hey, I bricked. I didn't actually realize until after I said this that he was just simply replying to me saying GG. But yeah, with his hand, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do. So he normal summons Adia, and I'll just let the rest play out from here. So he uses the effect Special Summon Eidos, uses Eidos effect to get the additional normal summon. Outside of that, he just Special Summons Mithra to Special Summon herself to his side of the field and a token to mine, which actually does come in clutch. It doesn't outright win me the game, but it does actually become a lot more relevant than I thought it would be. So what I do is I draw into Shadow Mist, and this is actually amazing. This top deck alone is probably what I would say saves me from just getting absolutely destroyed right here. So what I do is, first off, I summon the elemental hero Shadow Mist, and then I decide that rather than going straight into the Mask Change play to make Dinklaw, I would actually rather go into a Link play for Nightmare Phoenix, because at this time I don't really know what this is. But then of course he flips and it's Breakthrough Skill, and the problem with Breakthrough Skill and Infinite Impermanence by extension is they only negate it while the monsters are face up on the field. So once they hit the graveyard, if they have the graveyard effect, it does not negate that. So that's sort of a feel bad moment. So I don't really know, to be honest with you, why he's trying to Breakthrough Skill this. It just makes more sense to me if he saved it for something like a Phoenix or some other future play, you know? But whatever. I link off into Nightmare Phoenix. Discard. No, I don't. Oh, right. I can't use Nightmare Phoenix because there's no legal targets. And so I use Shadow Mist to fetch Vion just because. And with that, I just swing in for 1.1 against Adia, and then he just takes it. And I set 2 back row and pass. This being Called by the Grave and Mask Change. I don't really know why he says that. I don't really get it, to be honest. So he draws into Dogman. This is probably the strangest play I've ever seen someone do for all of 5 seconds. So first off, watch what happens. So if you're actually a step ahead, you probably already know what he's about to do. But and I mean, I guess I'm making it kind of obvious. But I don't actually understand why he does it until about 10 seconds after he actually does it. And I just feel stupid afterwards. So he tributes off both Eidos and Mithra in order to hard summon Danger Dogman. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't know why I was so clueless, but he does this, and I'm just appalled. Now, to be fair, I didn't know he had domain at the time. But even with domain, I mean, like, obviously it makes a difference, right? Because that makes his play, like, not the most retarded thing in the world. But, I mean, even then, it's just sort of odd. Like, you don't normally see people tribute summoning danger monsters, you know? And even then, he could have just, like, tried to uh, get one with, say, Dogman to, you know, find, like, dig through his deck because of the drawing or whatever. But yeah, he activates domain, and then it all comes together. And this completely locks me out of my extra deck. Um, the thing with domain is it doesn't allow me to special summon from the extra deck, but I can special summon like just from anywhere else, basically. And then and then of course Dogman actually attacks for 32 because of the effect of the field spell. And I take 1300. Phoenix dies, and he just passes turn. And then I draw into, once again, emergency call. I cannot begin to explain how amazing this match has been for me at this point in time. I mean, I think I'm like actually cackling up laughing. Like I'm like almost falling to the floor. I'm laughing so hard because of all my top decks. And then he's giving out pretty much everything he has, looking at his hand and board state just for this little soft block he has going. Um, So I use emergency call to fetch Honest Neos because I need to get over Dogman. Then I summon Vion, pitch Shadow Mist. I use Shadow Mist to fetch, what is it, Stratos? Um, yeah. And then I just go ahead and swing into Dogman with Vion using Neos in the damage step to, or the guess damage calculation. It doesn't really matter. Because it's a quick effect and it doesn't have any restrictions on it. But yeah, so anyway, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this stupid pop-up out the way. So this makes him 3,500 against 2,400 because the 800 doesn't apply when he's being attacked as well. It's just when it is attacking. So he takes what, 1,100? And yeah. Then, because I have 500 IQ, I decide that it'd be a good idea to mask change my Vion into a Danklaw, which I do, and I attack directly for 2.4, putting him down to 3.4. Outside of that, I activate Mask Charge to get back both Mask Change and an Honest Neos. Realistically, I probably could have gotten a Shadow Mist and been just as well off, but I guess I wanted to make sure that he didn't have a way to get over Danklaw, because that's pretty much my best defensive option at this point, outside of maybe Called by the Grave. But even then, Danklaw is like what's really stopping me from going back to a bad position because of Domain. And of course, I was only able to summon the Danklaw because the tribute summon monsters cleared off the board. So he draws an Aether, and yeah, I mean, this is basically game. So I think this actually can reduce the level of one monster, yeah, by 2. So what he could have done is just normal summon the Eidos, the Eidos effect, and normal summon Aether for 1 tribute. But anyway, with that being said, he, I think, goes for Eidos' effect. No, Breakthrough Skills effect, targeting Danklaw, and I'm just like, okay, fine, whatever. And then, at this point, we're sort of getting into a small debate about, well, can I use my Call by the Grave in response to Eidos, or can he just banish it? And I admittedly am not 100% sure, but I'm like 99% on my thought process here of you're allowed to respond to card effects unless it specifically states you can't, like in the case of cards like Super Poly. And so what happens here is he says, well, Eidos banishes his like cost or whatever, and I'm saying, well, yeah, but if you were to declare the effect like you should have, I would then have a chance to respond before you get to resolve it, and then of course I would just banish it with Called by the Grave, so you wouldn't get to activate it in the first place, and he just scoops it up from there. And so yeah, that's the game. Well, match, but anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and yeah, I mean it was actually it was actually a lot of fun just playing heroes against another old deck like Monarchs, and just seeing how Yu-Gi-Oh has changed over the years. But with that being said, I've been your host, your local lunatic, signing out. See you guys next time. Have a good one.